Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
pretty good.
Yeah. So, so Dom, this is your pick this week.
So this week is my pick. So you know it's going to be a strange one
Yep.
because I love the strange ones. This is the 2008 movie Pontypool.
Right.
It is um it is a zombie movie without zombies.
Right. Yeah, that in itself is kind of weird because yeah, it is so
Yeah, which is, I mean, like, I love the zombie genre, and this is like it kind of fits in, but it's not
yeah.
quite there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it
it
follows radio shock jock Grant Massey,
huh.
who was once a big deal, has fallen in the world, and now is working in a radio station in the small Canadian town of Pontypool.
You mean this guy.
That guy.
Yes, that guy.
My God, I love him so much.
He's
Like
really good in this role.
everything I've seen. And one of the reasons I love this movie is because this is one of the rare occasions where he's the star.
Yeah. He's usually very much a
Character actor.
character actor, background guy. Yeah, definitely not somebody that you see taking the reins. That's for sure. So yeah, it was kind of refreshing to see him in this.
So in
So
this movie, it characterizes a night when he comes in, snowy night, blizzard, whole nine yards, and all of a sudden, weird reports start coming in, mainly from their chopper guy in the sky.
well,
They're hearing,
yeah, and he did have an encounter with and no one pays attention to, but keep going because you're
yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say, but the night just keeps getting
worse.
tenser and tenser until the problem that's going on, which we will discuss,
Yeah,
basically comes into the studio and comes to a head.
yeah.
And
Well,
how it resolves is somewhat open ended.
yeah, yeah. Or even if it's totally resolved, um, even that part is up in the air. But yeah, it's definitely a different one. If you like zombie movies, it's a different take on what a zombie movie is. Um, Kind of because of what the setup is, and I don't know how much more you want to go into explaining that, but it has to do rather than bacterial infection, which is normally the transmission of a bite, some type of microbial infection that either everybody has or that is just transmitted through bites, is what usually causes the zombie infections. This one is how, Dom? Explain it to
This
us.
is this is an auditory infection.
Yes.
It's through language. And in fact, I'm gonna give away my love for this right away. This is a zombie meme film.
A zombie what? How did you?
Meme.
Okay, I got you.
And so this is one of the like I've known about memes for a while. They're like fairly commonplace now,
Sure.
but this movie came out when they were not. And I saw it, and I was immediately like, okay, this guy capitalized on a horror story about memes.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now it's as far as like background, they really don't you don't get a whole lot of background on what even
No.
caused this. That's
Yeah.
that's a that's another thing. You do have the doctor who later comes into the studio to take refuge, and he's kind of a quack doctor to begin with.
It's hilarious. He comes into the window. It's the freakiest, most random thing. You're
It
like,
is because
who the heck
I'm
is this guy?
assuming it's one of the nuts trying to get in because there's a bunch
Right.
of them trying to get in. He pops in and he's just like, "Here I am," so and all my nuttiness.
And I have all this information about it.
Mm, yes, he perceives to try to tell them what is causing the infection and how it's transmitted. He's trying to tell them don't talk is basically it, because certain words trigger it. And if you get, or it's actually not even, each person kind of has their own trigger words, right? Isn't that kind of,
It's very that one
it's
of the
random.
messages from I forget if it was the director or the writer. They said they tried to make the film so that who got infected and how was as variable as a virus would be in the normal world.
Right, right.
So I mean, it's like COVID. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people have long COVID, some people don't.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you one thing. I didn't do any. I didn't. And yeah, and that's weird in itself. The long COVID thing is, it's and how that affects certain people, where it can be completely debilitating for long term effects. Heart, the brain,
Oh, the
the brain
brain.
fog. So there's so many different things, but this is one of the ones that I liked her character. I thought she was like the nicest, sweetest of all the characters in the room. She was actually the one that was like playing nice. And then of course she has to get it, and it was like kind of hard when she
Well,
gets it.
I mean, it's most horrifying if the nicest character gets it.
Real seriously, and then the way that, like, and I kept thinking to myself, can't anybody do anything to stop her from hurting herself? Because this is a scene behind me right now where they are all inside the broadcasting booth, and she is outside, and she keeps coming up to it, and she is smashing her face
Yep.
against it, and it's like, oh my god, it's, and it keeps getting worse. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, because it's not quite like a zombie attack in the sense of like the bites, the person trying to bite so much, although they can be very violent, um, but very violent. But I mean, come on, how hard would it have been to tie her up or something? Because they probably could have saved. Maybe they could have saved her, although that there is a moment where she has projectile bleeding, which I thought was like, okay, she's all done. Uh,
But the thing is this happened over the course of maybe a few hours. These
yeah.
are just random people. If a random person were in this situation, how would they even know what to think, let alone what to do?
Well, that's the thing, because in zombie movies, we watch zombie movies nowadays, and we're like, shoot him in the head, shoot him in the head. And it's like, but they don't know what they're supposed to do. It's if you and if you take out the prior knowledge of what a zombie is, and of course now everybody knows. So even in zombie movies now, if somebody starts acting like a zombie, they go, oh, you got to shoot him in the head. But I mean, in early zombie movies, nobody knew what to do. You kind of like all of a sudden realize, like, wow, when I shoot them in the head, they go down, they don't get up.
Yeah, I
But
gotta say, like a lot of movies, like the word zombie is not used once in this movie.
right, right,
And there's a reason for that. The director has been quoted as saying that the victims, the people in this movie, are not zombies.
yeah,
They are conversationalists.
right,
That's the
right.
term he wants people to
Really?
use.
Well, that's funny in itself.
But like even in The Walking Dead,
Yeah,
they term those creatures walkers. They never use
yeah,
the word zombie.
yeah, yeah,
And so most stories that involve zombies actually are written to be in a universe where zombies don't exist. It's a
yeah,
totally
yeah.
new thing.
But and by the way, look, the poster behind you. Look at the little lost kitty. It's like, oh, look at him. I'm not even a huge cat person, but it's like, come on,
But
that
I
little
mean, I,
kitty.
I love how it starts. Like Mrs. French's cat is missing.
Yeah, yeah.
We've all seen the posters.
Well, and see that's the other thing too, is I love the character of this guy. He's very funny. The way he talks in the studio, and this chick who actually, she's the producer, right? That's that what the
Yeah.
deal is with,
Or,
yeah.
or, or the station manager.
Yeah, yeah. So she's trying to keep him, he's 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 no he's not like Howard Stern. Let's not make that comparison.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit of a loose cannon and shock jock, if you want to use the radio term for the outrageous shock jock genre. But he's a guy that likes to talk, tell stories, and that's what his audience kind of likes.
And he likes to be confrontational with his audience.
Oh,
He likes to piss
absolutely.
them off.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. He feels like a pissed off, which is kind of true, but that a pissed off audience is sometimes a very attentive, as he
An
says in
engaged
there.
audience.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, you piss them off, and they're going to be tuning in, whether they like it or they don't. If they like it, they're gonna tune in, and if they don't like it, they're gonna tune in anyway. So you know, it's like American politics. Good God.
So that woman behind you,
Yes.
she's got a number of titles, one of which could be station manager, but the other of is that guy's wife.
Oh, in real life,
That's Lisa Hule,
wow.
married to Stephen Hattie.
Oh,
McHattie.
wow. Well, it was funny too because maybe that made their interplay more real because
I think it did.
yeah, even when she was yelling at him and things like that, and just their interact and later when they actually start developing romantic stuff because that happens in the movie, but she starts out almost unlikable just in the way that she's going after him and reining him in. But you also can really see as the movie progresses that she actually really needed to rein him in because
Yeah.
he is he is a little bit of a loose cannon. But so yeah, I think she's probably got a tough job. And that was the funny part about the other chick in the studio because she's just totally like playing nice with everyone, and
Mhm.
she's just trying to get along with everyone, and unfortunately things go bad for her. But yeah, I did like the characters. I liked. I would not call this. I would not call this like a favorite film of mine.
Uh-huh.
But it's and the other thing that was weird about this, when you said the name, it seemed very familiar to me in a kind of like a abstract way, and I was trying to figure out why it seemed familiar. When I started watching it, I realized I saw this a long time ago, and I can't even remember like where I saw it, how I saw it, but I did, and I don't think I actually saw it right to the end. So, for whatever reason, something interrupted it or whatever. But it might have been something. Maybe I watched it on a night shift or something. But who knows? Whatever it was, I somehow or other I didn't finish it. But but yeah, I like I said, I definitely liked it. I liked the idea that it was a little bit different. It you kind of really got the essence of zombie without like the full blown. And I like that too because I love a good zombie movie. Don't get me wrong, but this was a little bit of a different take on it, and it was kind of fun
So
because of
this
that.
is why last week when you asked me, is it scary?
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like it really depends on
yeah.
who you are
I
and how you take it.
yeah, I really I did not find it scary. I mean, I'm jaded. Uh, I'm very jaded when it
We
comes to
both are.
yeah. We've seen so many movies, but like for horror movies, I'm such an advanced horror movie buff that when it comes to like, I still remember different people telling me how much. Um, oh shoot, what's the it the
Yeah,
yeah.
the Stephen King one.
Yes, and um, I actually thought they did a better job with the old TV movie that they did, which I think played out over like 2 or 3 days.
They did a great job with the old TV movie, like
Yeah,
story wise.
yeah,
But like
yes,
the recent movies, the Easter eggs they put in the background,
right.
were amazing.
Yeah,
And
I
it
could,
didn't affect the story that much.
yeah,
So I
but dude,
still think the old one was better.
I couldn't get into that damn clown.
Ah,
First of all, his head was shaped like a light bulb, and clowns. I find clowns scary. I really do. Clowns can scare the shit out of me. I mean, there's something about a clown that it's like this isn't right. They're supposed to. They're smiling. They're doing all these tricks. There's something malevolent about a clown. I don't know what it
I don't
is.
know. I never got the clown fear.
Yeah, believe me, it's there's a talking about memes. There's one where I'll have to send it to you. I wish I had it now to put up in the background, but there's a picture of a clown. It's a black and white picture, and it says clowns aren't funny after 9 p.m. or after dark or whatever the hell it is. And the clown looks like this real, he looks like he's a drunk or something. They start taking on a little bit more of a menacing tone, in certain situations. And I've seen some clowns that didn't look right. And but I thought the clown was scarier in the TV movie. And when that clown, like, there's one point, and I'll get off of this because we're not talking about it. But
Great
but
movie
I'm
though.
just saying I've got a problem with those movies. Every time someone said the clown was so scary, I think to myself, how? What about that scared you when the clown sang and danced? Because that was supposed to be a scary scene, and the clown's doing a jingle and he's dancing, and it's like, really? That scared you? Because you're a real lightweight if that scared you. That's all I can say. That is not scary. That's not a scary movie. I'll show you scary. It's like Dan Aykroyd said in and what was it? What was it? The one where he picks him up. He gets picked up in a car on the highway. It's a
I
is it
have
Creep
no
Show?
idea what movie this is.
Creep Show, I believe it is, where he picks him up. Where he picks him
Dan
the guy.
Aykroyd?
What's that? Aykroyd is in the Aykroyd is in the car, and they turn off the lights when they're driving. Remember, and then Aykroyd turns into a werewolf. He goes, "Want to see something really scary?"
Yeah,
He turns away. He turns back, and he's a werewolf. And
granted, it's been decades since I've seen Creep Show, but I
yeah,
do not recall the scene.
yeah. Well, the very last scene, if I'm getting the movie right, because I mixed that up with there's, I think we saw that, and we saw um, the Twilight Zone one.
Yeah, we saw
Maybe I'm
that.
thinking of the Twilight Zone one, but the Twilight Zone one, yeah, it's the Twilight Zone one because he's also in the scene. That's the one Aykroyd's in because in the very last scene of the movie, the guy that was on the plane is being taken out in an ambulance, and Aykroyd's the driver, and he goes, "Want to see something really scary?"
Yeah.
So, but yeah, back to this movie instead of
Back
I'm
to this.
just yes. So
So,
totally
what did you think overall?
overall, I have to say I was entertained and I definitely liked it. Um, I would say I thought it was I can't really I don't want to use the term slow moving and but it did kind of like
Thi-
I felt there were some like down moments where it wasn't
Yep,
quite as but that's probably my biggest criticism. Other than that, I like the fact that it was took place in one setting.
yep.
I liked the
Very
fact that
claustrophobic
yeah,
setting.
and they limited it to a small cast of characters that were very effective. So there's many more things that I liked about it than I disliked about it. So yeah, I thought it was a fun movie and a different one. So
So this movie is based off the Tony Burgess novel, Pontypool Changes Everything.
yeah, yeah,
And so he was in talks with people to get this made into a film for a long time.
never heard of the book.
Yep, yep. No reason you should. Obscure Canadian author.
Right.
Um, and so when they weren't really getting positive motion on the book or on the movie, they said, well, let's make this into a video, an audio play, a radio play.
Yeah.
So they started doing that. And as soon as they started doing that, a studio came through with the funding for a movie.
Wow. Wow.
And so this movie is very influenced by Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Really?
And
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
they made the radio play simultaneously while making this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, it makes sense because I mean the fact that it's a radio show and a broadcast and I mean by rights, even the shit they were saying over the air, by rights, a lot of people that if you were just sitting at home and you were listening to the station and you heard some of the stuff coming out of them, you'd be thinking they're doing some kind of spoof. This is a gag. It's not, there's no way this is real. And I mean, you were talking earlier. I think I kind of interrupted you, but you were talking earlier about the guy in the sky, their helicopter guy, who was actually not in a helicopter. That was one of the things that is
He's not in a
finally,
helicopter.
yeah. Which to tell you the truth, there's probably more than one radio station that does that, and I think it's probably common to to have a to have a radio station do some kind of silly thing like that because who can afford a helicopter
Well, exactly.
and a helicopter pilot, especially the pilot these days? What is it? What do you have to pay a helicopter pilot? To go up in a little death trap whirly bird and fly over the city to give you traffic reports, and you don't even need those anymore. That's the other thing. In the old days, you kind of needed a guy to fly around and tell you, yeah, traffic on I-95 is backed up, to the Tobin Bridge, and so
Yeah, nowadays, it's my Waze app says.
yeah, seriously. I mean, you can be driving down the highway and you're getting all kinds of reroute advice, and it's so if you need traffic advice, it's right at your fingertips while you're driving your car. So even complete people that are complete techno nerds are still able to work their way around it. But yeah, that was one of the things that I actually liked, the screenshot that's behind you right there,
Yeah.
where they were doing the black and white photos of people and doing this little background thing. But yeah, I did. There were a lot of things that I did like with this, how it was
I,
done.
I absolutely love how this movie was done.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's weird. I don't expect, as I told you, I said this might be one of the ones you hate. I don't expect anyone to like this movie because it's a little outside the norm, but that is why I love it.
Well, when it came to, I think probably when you get me to actually say that I hate a movie, a lot of times it has more to do with the characters and the that I'm seeing on the screen, and if they're very dislikable, and there's some, or even the actors that are portraying the roles, I'm thinking to myself, man, I wouldn't want to be around these people. I wouldn't want to be hanging out with them, talking to them, whatever. And like, talking about a couple of the movies that you had suggested, I think probably the biggest thing that I disliked, the movies themselves I kind of liked, but some of the characters I was like, man, to do not invite me to a dinner party with these people.
You say that, but then again, you chose Igby Goes Down,
That's
where
true.
I did
That's
not like a single character in that movie.
really. See, I would have probably gladly hung out with a few of them. I would have had some laughs with a few of them. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would have. I definitely would have had fun with. Yeah, I mean, I thought that whole family was kind of interesting. I mean, even the mother, who was probably the cruelest in Igby Goes Down.
Interesting and likable are two different things.
That's true. That's true. But well, what's that expression about pray you don't live in interesting times?
Yep,
Because,
exactly.
but
Exactly.
but yeah. So yeah, like I said, this was definitely fun. It was uh, he made the movie. I think if you had had I think if you had had a different actor that was trying to pull this off, you really would have needed somebody who had the chops to do the part, because he kind of brought it all together. and he sold it. He sold it with his disbelief about what was going on, but also you could see the fear in him as he's starting to realize like there's something like badly wrong going on. And he
Hmm.
had the first encounter when he's in the car, and that actually is the scene where that woman comes up to the car. And on the one hand, that scene was kind of a really benign kind of a scene. It wasn't really like threatening or anything. I mean, she does come up to the car like bang, bang, bang on the side, which startles them. But then like the way she's trying to talk to him, she appears rather calm, but you can tell something's not right with her and with
And,
what's going on.
and I love the slow burn
Yes,
of
yes,
that. When you first see the disease onset into the different people in the radio studio, you can see it coming if you know what to look for,
yeah. Well,
but it's subtle.
it is subtle because it's actually it's in some ways I almost looked at it akin to a stroke in the sense of
Yes.
it. Yeah, because it's like a person talking and you're trying to say a certain word and you're getting caught on the word and you can't. I mean, I've had that with migraines even, because sometimes if I get a migraine, it really it throws off all the electrolytes in your brain. Nothing's clicking right, and so I'll be trying to think of like the color blue, and I can't for the life of me. I'm trying to say blue, and I can't say blue. There's a certain word, and I'm trying to think. It's like, what is that word? Why can't I? And you get caught. You can't even advance past it because you're just caught on that word. And that is kind of what's going on with this. They'll get caught, except maybe it's repetition of a word. They might say car, and then they say car, and it's like you're looking at the person like what's going on, almost like the person's having a stroke or something because they're just caught on this thing. So and the ironic part is other words that you maybe associate with opposite or a synonym of the word is what brings them out of it by saying words
And
that
and that's the thing. Like, this was basically the whole baby of the author, Tony Burgess. And if you're an author, like you're into words,
yes, oh
like
absolutely, yeah,
all of it.
the beauty of words. I mean, you look at something like Shakespeare, and I don't pretend to try to be a Shakespearean scholar by any means. I'm not a scholar of anything, not even movies. Well, kind of, but but as far as Shakespeare, the wording in Shakespeare is so beautiful. It's if you have any kind of love for language, you can appreciate how Shakespeare, you know, he made words beautiful, and so yeah, an author, someone that appreciates literature and books that are well written. I mean it, so yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a play with how
And
you go ahead.
and in this guy's case, it's even more than that. He wrote this after he completed his degree in semiotics.
Really?
Semiotics is the systemic study of
Yeah, I was gonna
sign
say
processes and the communications of meaning.
okay. Yeah, I was as you said that, I was like, okay, now can you please explain explain that because
I had no idea what it was either, but I'm
yeah,
like, okay, this guy is really into the meaning of signs and symbols.
right, right. Well, it shows with this movie for sure. Um, and again, I have to give credit to the movie too for actually doing something that was it was different. It was different in the sense of you just don't a zombie movie you just don't find one that plays like this. And I don't know, are we doing it a discredit by calling it a zombie movie? But it's so
According to the director, we are,
yeah. I mean,
but
it's so like a zombie movie, but yeah,
it's so like a zombie movie.
yeah. And even just even just the way some of the people are reacting, because the people are turning violent. We don't see a lot of the violence. Probably the biggest violence we see happens with well, there are a couple of confrontations that get physical, but I would say probably the worst of it is the I don't know what her, I don't know if she's an intern or what she is, the young girl that ends up, and the only thing I know her from, isn't she the one that was in the Scary Movies? Or am
No,
I,
I don't think so.
or am I confusing the actress? Because um,
Let me see. I'm trying to look.
the spoof ones, the spoof Scary Movies.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe I'm
yeah. No, no, I know that's not her.
yeah,
She wasn't in any of those. I know the actress you're talking about.
yeah. She looks like her, but
She
I
does, except for the blonde hair.
no, the one I'm talking about is dark hair. I'll have to pull up a. I'll shoot you a picture later, but
Okay,
one,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
there's one of the Scary Movies for sure, maybe the first one she's in.
I think she's in them all. If we're talking about the same person.
Yeah, we might be, but that doesn't matter. We're once again, I'm getting a sidetrack. This is terrible. I've done this like three times today. So, but anyway, and here's another thing, Pontypool. Every time I heard the title, I was thinking to myself, it's such a weird name, and I was getting kind of caught up in the like I don't know, for some reason. Maybe it's my dirty mind, but all I could think of was panty pool or something like that, like it was a play on something.
Oh, it
And then
is.
there is, well, that's the thing. He actually gets into it in the movie where he talks about a French term for lingerie, meaning like, and it's like, well, I guess I wasn't so far off with what went through my brain, my weird brain. But yeah, that's actually part of it. So, but that was,
But
I never did. Was that the name of the town?
yeah,
Okay, all right,
there's actually a town of so let me read you a quote.
right.
This is from Tony Burgess, the author. When I just finished my first book, The Hellmouths of Bewdley, my publisher sent me out to get an author photo for the cover. My wife and I drove out to Bewdley, thinking a picture of me standing on the dock on Rice Lake would be perfect. Turns out the sun went down, and we ended up pulling over by the side of the road and taking a pic in some other town along the way.
Huh,
That was Pontypool.
wow,
I had some pressure on me at the time to write a second book, so I said, I owe Pontypool a book.
wow, wow.
This is that book.
Nice, nice, very nice. Now,
In case anyone is curious, I just started reading the book. Pontypool Changes Everything. It is darker than the movie.
really, really,
It is super well written and
oh, good.
super dark.
Yeah. So is it a good read? Is it worth reading?
It really depends on what you consider a good read. It reminds me of the book Annihilation,
Okay. Don't know the
which
book.
is, I love the book. The writing is almost poetry. The writing is beautiful.
Yeah.
Story is questionable, but the writing is beautiful, like gorgeous. Like I wish I could write like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that is how Pontypool is, or I should say, Pontypool Changes Everything.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like one I'll probably have to read down the road. Yeah, definitely. But I'll put it on my reading list. How's that?
Mhm.
So, but no, like I said, you didn't find one that I disliked. So you'll have to work harder.
I'll have to
But
work harder.
yeah, but
Yeah. And if you like this, you might be happy to know there's a sequel in process right now.
really, really,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah,
I'm
he intends to do a movie. I believe the working title right now is Typo Chan,
okay.
and it's going to be Pontypool, same town,
Yeah.
same time period, but based on what's going on in the town outside the studio.
Okay, yeah, because that was the other thing is you had to really be asking yourself like how far is the spreading? Because we never really got a total like what caused it, right? It was just
Nope.
there was no it wasn't like there was something like a lot of times with a zombie outbreak, it's like the government released some, which I wouldn't be surprised. The government released some chemical or some bullshit that they're working on. But yeah, other than something like that, I would I would have to say you had nothing with this one. It was really just this started happening and it's affecting people, and so yeah.
And it
But
was
that
through
was
language. They started saying it was through the English language. So they were talking French for a
yes,
while.
yeah, yeah, that was very clear. You're right. That's a good point because you could speak French and it would not, or whatever other language. It was only English. So maybe maybe the gods have looked at the English language and said, you guys are screwing it up so bad that that I'm actually going to create a virus around it. So yeah, maybe that was what caused the outbreak, but it's a scourge on us all. But
And then,
yeah,
so
I would say
for,
good pick. I would say good pick. I
I
would give
actually
this
love this film.
I would give this a good solid 1 2/3 of a thumbs up. So um, I pretty much I don't know. I even hesitate not to give it the full 2 thumbs up because I did enjoy it, and the fact that I revisited it again without my knowledge at first, the fact that I did and I was entertained thoroughly by it, I have to say I'll give it the 2 thumbs. I'm not gonna scrimp on thumbs.
I
So
just found this such a unique take
yeah,
on the genre that, and the more I revisit, the more I see into it too. So
yeah. Now for listeners, if you I'm a you probably this is not a movie. The average person, if they're listening right now, the average person probably has not seen this movie. It's not one that's necessarily readily available.
yes, it
So
is. It's on YouTube for
well,
free.
yeah, it is, but yeah, that's true. But I mean, most people wouldn't necessarily be on YouTube looking for it, so you might
Right.
find it, or you might. But yeah, you are right; it is readily available because it is there. Um, but it's not one when I guess when I say readily available, that's the wrong term. What I mean is maybe more well known. That's probably the reason why you probably haven't seen it if you haven't. And I mean, how many people talk about Pontypool on a daily basis?
Well, exactly. This is, and again, this is the reason why I love doing this channel, is to call attention to movies
Yeah,
that don't get enough love.
yeah, yeah. And even when I'm picking out even when I'm picking out a more well-known movie, I still a lot of times will try to pull one out that maybe yeah, if you're a diehard film fan, maybe you know about it, but I always hope that I'm going to draw people into a movie that they didn't otherwise know of. Maybe they knew the name but hadn't seen it. It was probably maybe, an older one that was less popular or even a newer one. But yeah, you're right. That's kind of the fun thing to do is to get people to watch things that and outside of your comfort zone too. So, but we
And
are
you know, if there's any theme of the movies I choose, you know that I love movies that are made on a micro budget,
yeah, yeah,
like almost no special effects, like micro budget, and yet really have a huge impact, which I
yeah.
felt this movie did.
Probably right. I mean, then that's not to say because I definitely like low budget movies.
Mhm.
I tend to I've probably picked less low budget movies since we started doing this. for audience. I'm not sure totally why, but partly because when I go for something that's lower budget, it might be like a little bit crazy. And I mean, I'm probably going to pick something like a Russ Meyer movie or you know, a John Waters movie, just
Or a
something
trauma
like,
movie.
yeah, Trauma. I mean, there's all, I can think of so many different low budget ones that I like that other people might not like. I mean, Corn Dog Man is one that I've mentioned to you. I don't think you've seen it yet.
I think I have.
It's it's actually, I mean, I have known people that said they detested that movie. So yeah, like I said, it depends on the movie, but some of my B movies maybe are ones that I actually worry I'm gonna make like any audience that we've got that are watching go like, oh my God, that's too much. But anyway, so yeah, as far as films go, I think you're the one that's actually picked. You picked, I think, probably three or four that were lower budget ones that I actually really enjoyed. So so far you haven't gotten me with one that I said, oh my God, I really can't stand this one. So I've got a pretty,
Well, I'm definitely choosing movies more because I love them and not purposely choosing ones you hate.
yeah, no, I get that too. I get that too. Although I think sometimes when I find a movie and I think to myself, Dom's gonna hate this one. I actually kind of I actually kind of enjoy like making you watch something that I think to myself, he's probably gonna tell me later, oh my God, I couldn't stand that movie, or but and I've kind
And
of
I'm
got
fine
that.
with it because believe me, I've watched more than my share of movies that I was like, oh God, this is horrible.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm looking
No,
at Midnight in Paris.
yeah, and I that one that boggled my mind because there were four of us that watched the movie, and of the four that watched the movie, um, two of us loved the movie, and two hated the movie.
That movie
So,
was horrible.
well, I love that movie, and I thought it was, it's funny when you talk about Woody Allen because I think he's made. I'm not talking about Woody Allen the man. I'm talking about Woody Allen the director, filmmaker.
Right.
But as far as his films, there have been Woody Allen movies that I really truly love, and that I find like extremely funny, extremely entertaining. Um, and then I'll watch certain ones and I'll think to myself, you know, what was he thinking when he was making this? Because the jokes aren't really that funny. It's pretentious. I mean, especially some of his later movies, because he went from being, he was always there was always an intellectual element to his characters, and they were a little more cerebral and just the way the circles they moved in and things like that. But he, I don't know. It's almost like he's out of touch with the common man as he got older because he just it's all like
Well,
ultra.
where does he interact with the common man?
He doesn't. It's all ultra elite New York, socialites and people that are, it's like you have no connection with reality. Oh, that was another weird thing in this movie. Talking about this movie was that little singing group that came in there. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Uh,
Yep. Lawrence and the Arabians.
yes, that was actually one of the more humorous moments. But
So this guy,
yeah.
that's the author. That's Tony
Oh,
Burgess.
you're kidding. That's great. That's great. No, that was actually a pretty funny scene because when they start singing, you can just see the pain in the DJ's face. He's like, "Oh my God, really? Like these people are singing?" But yeah, that was great. Uh, that was one of the more humorous scenes.
They had so many random things in it.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely was. Well, I mean, look at the makeup on these people. I mean, it's hysterical. The one that's behind I guess there's a child in front, and the one that's behind, it's like
Yes.
That might be the most horrifying thing about this
I don't
movie.
know what the
No, I don't either. Very high forehead and a lot of hair on top. But yeah, if anybody that, if you haven't seen the movie, if you're looking for something that's a little bit different, if you like your zombie movies a little different, this one's a fun one. It's again, like we said, it's probably not really a clear classification of a zombie movie because they're not really zombies, but they're something akin.
so
Um,
I am going to include a link to this because let's face it, it's easily accessible on YouTube. I'm
yeah.
going to include a link for this movie for anyone that wants to watch it. I am also going to include a link for the movie Dead Air.
Okay.
If you like the premise of this movie, but like your zombies a little more normal,
Huh.
Dead Air is almost the exact same movie,
Wow.
but with
Okay.
like actual flesh eating zombies.
Yeah. Yep.
They are not transmitted by words or any intellectual things.
It's funny. There almost is a little bit of there's a horror genre that centers around, um, it's a very small one, but it's around, taking place in a broadcasting booth.
Yep.
Because I mean, you think of like what was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3? The one with
Don't remember
Dennis.
that. So
I don't know if it's Dennis Hopper that's in that one, but it takes place in a broadcasting booth, or for a good chunk of the film. And but yeah, like I said, there's been a few different horror movies that have taken place around, you know a broadcasting studio. So
yeah, heck, Day of the Dead.
yes, yeah. So yeah, there definitely, you could probably say it's a little subgenre, but yeah, it's so, and it's,
Broadcasting zombie movies.
yeah, obscure one. But we'll have to try to, if anybody out there knows of some that they want to include and ask us to talk about, we'll definitely do those. So put that
But
on your
but
list.
ultimately, this is my pick. I love this film. I've seen it like 6 times. I would see it 6 more times. I'm giving it an unequivocal 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, and I'll join you in that. I'll say two solid thumbs up. It's a fun,
It's not for everyone.
yeah. It's a fun movie. It has its share of a little bit of violence, but for this type of movie, it's actually,
It's a super calm movie.
yeah, it really is. It's not like, if you're somebody that maybe doesn't like the super violent zombie movies, hopefully you'll like this because it's not. I mean, the scene behind me is probably one of the more graphic ones, and it gets worse too. She keeps planting her face into that plexiglass screen in front of her, and
Oh my
so it
God, she's
does.
great at it, though.
Oh my God, yeah, it's so bad.
You're
Uh,
horrified.
yeah, yeah, but then when she starts vomiting blood too, it's like, okay, she's all done. But yeah, that's I think that's kind of our take on this. I think we kind of have it wrapped up, and
We've got it wrapped up, and the next pick is yours, Mike.
it is, and I'm going to actually get to that in 1 second. I was going to say, uh, if you guys would, anybody still watching, if you would, please leave a like and subscribe if you would. It's support the channel if you can, with just, giving us that like and giving us and subscribe if you would. It keeps the channel coming at you and notifying you when we do another one. But we could sure use the support, and we would love it if you would suggest some movies for us to talk about too. The Halloween season is here. We're doing a lot of horror movies right now. We're coming at the end of this is the end of September. Our next one will be actually an October one, and so we're kind of
We're
winding
doing
in,
horror movies for the
probably for
next
the
few
month.
weeks.
Yeah, for the month of October. And having said that, I am going to announce the movie for next week. And this is one that I'm hoping that I actually can make Dom cringe a little bit at this one. Um, this one's a little bit different. Uh, Dom, it is on my Voodoo,
Okay.
um, but it's also for people who want to watch it ahead of time. If you're watching this one now and you want to watch it before we start talking about it, the movie is actually on Max also for sure. The HBO Max, if you subscribe to that. So the movie is called Men, Men.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yep, and it's a newer movie, which is part of the reason it's on Max. Um, I happened to catch it. Like I said, I do own it on my Voodoo, but yeah, it's a little bit different. Um, Quick premise: a woman goes to just have a little bit of a vacay after something a traumatic event in her life, a very traumatic event, and she goes to a quiet little English town to relax, and things are not as they seem, and so I think there's a lot to discuss with this one, and it's hopefully you'll find it a Dom. Hopefully you'll find it a fun watch.
I've actually been curious about this one. So
It's rather unsettling. Lisa, your wife Lisa may not be as
she may not even watch it.
yeah, she might not watch it. And I would say the biggest thing with this one is it really comes at you. It's kind of graphic in a lot of ways. Special effects are quite Cronenberg like. So so anyway, check it out. Dom, you'll have to let me know what you think when we discuss this
Looking
again.
forward to it.
But yep, that's the movie. It definitely is a horror movie. And I will say this much: we were talking about being jaded horror movie buffs. This one actually, it's not that it scared me, but I had moments. I watched this at night at work on a night shift, and it actually was making me feel nervous. There were moments that actually like I was like, whoa, this is actually getting to me a little bit. So, and again, I'm not somebody that gets frightened when I watch horror movies. It takes a lot to actually make me go, oh shit. So this one did kind of do that a little bit. So I would say it's a fun watch. You should be a jaded horror fan to watch this one, but it's
Well,
a
I
good
mean, it's
one.
not a Serbian film.
No, no, not at all.
It's
Not at
not
all.
Martyrs.
No, it's not like that, but there is some scenes towards the end that are um they're graphic in a certain sense. So you'll know after you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But well, that's we can end that with that. And I would say it's a fun watch. If you like Cronenberg, it's something that you'll see comparisons to some of Cronenberg's effects. So there are certain effects there. So, but it's creepy. There's some weird characters. It's kind of a deep movie. The filmmaker did it to make points, and kind of about men in general. So, like I
Looking
said,
forward to it.
it's worth a watch. So let me know what you think next week, Dom. And with that,
Obviously.
I think we're probably going to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
So, good pick, Dom. Glad to see it, and hope everybody else was. If they have seen it, and if you haven't, check it out. Pontypool is a good movie, and check out Men if you haven't seen that, so you can listen in next week when we discuss that. Dom, let's call it a week, and
It's a week.
yep,
Love it as always.
yep, good time, Dom. Thank you, and
Indeed.
next week.